Hi, it's Caroline here from Peyton Principles of Good Health, bringing you my next instalment on my weekly lives. Although I did miss last week, so that's because I was having a few days holiday with my mum, first time for a couple of years, which was lovely. And today I want to talk to you about how to take care of your well-being. And taking those few days away with my mum last week was all part of looking after my well-being, and we all know how important it is to have some breaks. But I really today want to talk about how we can incorporate well-being and different little activities and tasks and things that are simple to do, don't take a lot of time, that are really going to help you take care of your well-being. This is World Wellbeing Week. It's a little bit more than a week. It started yesterday on the 14th and it runs till the 30th of June. And I've just got 5 simple things that you can think about doing, one each day. Maybe you can add some more in, start to do a couple of these things, but just simple things to incorporate. Now, I spend a lot of time talking about health. I'm always talking about nutrition, what things we need to do from a nutrition point of view to look after our health. But I'm not even going to talk about nutrition today because well-being encompasses far more than that. And it's really crucial to every aspect of our health. As a naturopath, you know, I talk about nutrition, but I take a fully holistic approach to health. I'm really interested in how people can manage their stress levels and look after their overall well-being, as well as thinking about how to improve and take care of good nutrition, good hydration as well throughout their lives. So, you know, just what do we mean by well-being? It can mean different things to different people. And it's far more than just an absence of disease or an absence of symptoms, signs and symptoms. You know, we might sort of think about our health and in terms of signs and symptoms, but when we think about our well-being, it's far more than that. I like to think of this as, you know, encompassing our overall mental and physical health. And it's really about our sort of just day to day, how we feel in ourselves, our contentment, our happiness, our joy. Do we have a sense of purpose in our lives? Are we connected to people? We don't feel lonely. And do we feel you know, satisfied with our lives? Do we feel have sort of sense of vitality? I don't mean having endless energy to go out and run a marathon, but just a sort of vitality throughout the day. But we need to prioritize our own well-being, and we spend all our time, don't we, going around asking other people how they are, but do we ever stop to check in with ourselves and ask ourselves that question, just how are we feeling? It's a really useful thing to just stop and ask yourself a few questions. So I've listed here a few things that you might just want to just stop and try and tune in with yourself and ask you these few simple things, because it's really important when we think about our well-being to really think about, are we taking care of all these things? So do you feel cheerful today? Are you feeling good about yourself? How's your energy and vitality? Do you feel able to cope with the stresses and pressures that are thrown at you in everyday life? I'm not talking here so much about major traumatic events in your life, but we're constantly being thrown, you know, curveballs that throw us off balance. How well are we able to just deal with that and cope with that without us having a little bit of a meltdown? Are you able to make clear and logical decisions about day-to-day things that are going on in your life? Again, I'm not talking about major decisions, major life-changing decisions, but can you think clearly and logically with decisions? Have you set aside time for relaxation, for your well-being? Do you set aside time every single day? In this particular day, have you set aside a little bit of time for relaxation? How satisfied are you with your contribution to the world? So that may seem like a really big thing, but in terms of your work and in your personal life, do you feel you're making a contribution? Because our sense of purpose in life is really, really important. People can have a really busy and successful job, but it doesn't actually bring them happiness and contentment because they don't feel it fits well with them. They don't feel it's necessarily giving anything back. I used to have a very big, busy corporate job, but it didn't actually bring me contentment and any sense of purpose and well-being in my job because I felt like I was contributing profit to a corporation without it really bringing a sense of purpose and help to community at large, if you like. And of course, now in what I do, I have a huge sense of purpose in what I do in talking about well-being and health overall. Do you feel connected with others? You know, how good are you connections? Because loneliness is so important in terms of our well-being because there's been a lot of studies to do with how loneliness can contribute to ill health. And this is really seen, isn't it, with elderly people, people who've been married for a very, very long time. If one person dies, the other partner may not live particularly long afterwards, even if they may not seem to be particularly ill. And I think loneliness is very, very important. So it's really important to have connections. And are you interested in learning new things? And I'll talk a little bit about this because I'm not talking about mastering a new language unless that's what you really want to go out and do. But what little things do you do day to day in terms of learning or mastering a new skill or just trying something new? But we're not going to answer those questions and get 100% positivity and great answers every single day. But checking in every so often just to see how you're scoring in those areas is just a really great thing to do, to think, yeah, am I doing the right things towards my well-being, or are there more things that I could be doing? And hopefully these 5 things that I'm going to talk to you about that you can easily incorporate into your day-to-day life will be things that are going to help you. And obviously you can extend these into bigger things, but I like to do small, simple steps because it's the small, simple, quick wins that can make the big difference towards achieving long-term and sustainable health and well-being goals. So day 1, you can do these in no particular order, but on day 1, connect with a friend, or it could be a family member, somebody that you haven't spoken to for a while. Now, this has nothing to do with social media. In fact, it's the absolute opposite of social media. We know that social media can be really negative for our mental well-being. We know that we can actually feel more lonely when we look at social media because it just seems that everybody's leading these great lives, and that's just not true. So I'm talking about picking up the phone and making contact with somebody that you haven't spoken to for ages. Don't sort of send a text and go, are you free? Or when can we have a catch up? When can we meet for lunch? Just picking up that phone and just saying hi. You may think, oh, they're going to be too busy. It's not a great time of day, busy with work. Oh, it's evening. They might be eating dinner. You just don't know, do you? And by picking up that phone and making that connection, I'm sure it's going to make that person on the other end of the phone feel so appreciated, so valued, and really happy. And you'll be happy for making that contact. You'll either end up having a short phone call or you'll end up having a long phone call and laughing and being happy, and you'll just come off the phone and feeling great. So it's about phoning, not texting, using the phone as it always was to us older people. It was a phone, it was for speaking into, not for messaging all the time. So that's the first thing, day 1, just making that connection with somebody. If it's not phoning somebody, it may be popping around to see a neighbour. You may have an elderly neighbour that you don't see very often. Maybe they're not particularly well and they don't get out of the house very often. So maybe just knocking on the door and just saying hi. You actually feel great when you're giving something back as well. And that's really important as part of your well-being. So day 2, I've put here about journaling and starting a daily journal. Doesn't have to be complicated. Find a nice little notebook, and whether it's in the morning, first thing in the morning, or last thing at night, this is about gratitude and finding ways to be happy in your life. Simple and easy things that have happened in that day, or if you're reflecting on the day before, just little easy things that have been great. Right now the sun's shining and the weather's been awful, so I'm really happy that the sun is now shining, and I stood outside and it just felt that little bit warmer. So yes, that's great. That would go in my journal of being happy. if you've just had something really nice and tasty to eat for lunch or dinner, then you could write that down. You know, you've just really enjoyed it. You might have some flowers out in the garden, notice something new that you haven't seen before, and it just brings a smile to your face. You might have watched something funny on TV, or you're reading a good book. Writing these little things down in a journal starts to connect with part of your brain that makes things more positive, because there's so much negativity in our world, and boy does it bring me down. I am fed up of the news and the radio, and oh, it's so negative. So we have to find ways to link in to positivity, and writing this little journal and just capturing a few positive things. You may have a new outfit, or you've just discovered an old outfit in your wardrobe and you've put it on, you thought, I've forgotten this, and it's really nice, and you're wearing it, and bought a new lipstick and it's a nice color. Something that makes you happy and brings you simple joy, because it's not all about the major holidays in our life, it's the day-to-day little things, and it does help to sort of switch the brain from being in negative thought brain waves into more positive ones. So have a go at doing that. Day 3, finding 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes where you can do nothing. So I say 5 minutes because 15 minutes may seem like a stretch. It's finding that space to switch off and let your mind wander. Or if you're into meditation, maybe trying to get the mind back to just switch off and just have the silence around you. Having thoughts coming in and letting them go out again is absolutely fine. And it may be a time, just that sort of stillness where, you know, if you're trying to process difficult decisions, problem solving, sometimes by that stillness, it just provides that clarity and makes it so much easier to make those decisions. Now, 15 minutes may seem far too long, which is why I've said do 5 minutes if that's all you can do. It might be 5 minutes at the start of the day, 5 minutes when you've finished your day at work. Just finding a quiet space. It might be in the house, it might be in the garden, you may lie down on a mat, you might lie on your bed, you may sit in a chair, just close your eyes. You could be in the garden, just looking at your plants, in the park, just somewhere where you've got that stillness and quietness. Now, I'm not someone who does meditation myself, but certainly having that stillness and quietness is really important to me. And I don't do it enough. And just writing these things down has just reminded me of the simple things that we can do. It helps to get away from our gadgets, which is another talk altogether. And I know you're watching this on a gadget, but we spend too much time on those. So it's just sort of disconnecting, getting away from the gadgets, and that giving your brain that space to switch off, process some thoughts, process things that have happened in the day. And then you can just get on with the rest of your day or your evening, and it will just give you a little bit of mental clarity. So day 4, this is all about learning something new, trying something new, incorporating just something different and new into your day. Now, again, I said this is not about saying, right, I'm going to sign up for a brand new course and learn a new language. It might well be that, but it doesn't have to be like that. In order to incorporate better happiness and well-being in your day-to-day life, it can be as simple as making a new tasty, healthy dish for your dinner, maybe cooking it for your family, something that everybody really enjoys. That alone brings you happiness, and hopefully it's going to taste great and it's great for your health overall as well. So just trying a new dish may be all it takes. You may want to I talked about gardening a couple of weeks ago. You may want to think about gardening. Maybe just start growing a few herbs, put them on your windowsill, water them. You may have a little chat to them if that's your thing. Why not? Just observing what's happening with your plants and trying to grow something new. You may be saying, or you'd like to stimulate your brain a little bit more. Sometimes you might think about doing crosswords, Sudoku or Sudoku, however you call it. Now, they can be really hard ones, but you may find easy ones to do. Start off with doing something like that, finding some puzzles in your local newspaper, your daily newspaper, your, I don't know, your parish council magazine may have puzzles in there, and just finding some time just to sit, and it might only take 10 minutes to do a puzzle, but that sense of achievement when you've done it is great. You might have stimulated your brain. So trying something new, a new little task. From there, it may extend on to something creative that you might want to do. If you're a creative sort of person, might want to just start doing some drawing or sketching. But it's just finding those few minutes when you can just try and think about something new that you can do. And my final one for day 5 is about creating a calming environment. I find that clutter, and I'm not going to show you around my current working environment, but clutter is not conducive to well-being and calmness and giving you thinking space and freeing up your mind. And it's my number one priority this week is to declutter my office space. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard of Marie Kondo. I read her book a couple of years ago, the KonMari method, and she's had program series on Netflix in the past. And I really encompass and like the principles of what she talks about, which is about everything in your home should bring you happiness and joy and serenity, and it should create this sort of calming environment that you live in. And we often hold on to things and have too much clutter in our homes because, I don't know, we've just had these things or they've been bought for us and we feel we need to hold on to them because they've been a present, and wouldn't it be rude to let them go? But she's all about letting go of things, passing them on to other people where other people are going to get joy from them, and spending, maybe this will take a little bit longer. It doesn't need to be decluttering a whole room, but it might be an area in your room, like my desk, for example, or some drawer. You might just empty a drawer, you know, those kitchen drawers that get a right clutter. And it feels wonderful when you've decluttered it. And it just helps to create that space. I talked about finding a calming environment where you can switch off, but if there's clutter there, it's not going to help you to be really relaxed and enable your mind to wander, switch off, be creative, be relaxed, whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So spending a little bit of time trying to do a little bit of decluttering once a week in a small area. It's all about these small, quick wins that lead to these bigger sustainable outcomes. That's my sort of whole philosophy really in life, and when I'm working with clients, is finding those simple things that you can do, and it doesn't have to be majorly difficult. My motto really on my business website is helping you lead a happier, healthier, more active life. So I hope I've given you a few ideas that you can take away this week, simple things that you can incorporate into your day-to-day life. Doesn't have to take up a huge amount of time because we are all busy. And these things can become habit forming when we start to reinforce them and do them week in, week out, day in, day out. So go away, enjoy the rest of your week, find this time for you, for your well-being, prioritize that this week. And I hope you have a lovely week and take care and look after your well-being. See you next week, everyone. Bye.